Have you ever wondered why a dog has a cold, wet nose? Well, I'll tell you the whole truth of that matter. Once upon a time when the birds ate lime and the monkeys chewed tobacco up a tree, that was the way my father started every story he ever told me. And why should I be any different? There was a man called Noah, and you know, he was a good farmer and a good husband and a better father. And he always tried to do what was right, but during that time, there was great evil in the rest of the land. Oh, it was dreadful. There was nothing but badness no matter where you looked. And one day, God was looking. And no matter where he searched the world, north, south, east, or west, he saw nothing but evil there. He couldn't stand it. All he could see were women gossiping vindictively about one another, or maybe a couple of men waiting and jumping on another one and mugging them for money. He simply couldn't stand it. And he, like many other people in his day, thought to himself, I want to make a new model. I'm just going to wipe out the world as it stands now and start all over again. Now, as he was thinking these thoughts, an angel happened to be passing by, and I don't know whether you realise this, you know, but angels can read one another's thoughts. And this one comes up to God and he says, you can't think the like of that about the world, thinking to obliterate it completely. Why, there's good people in the world. And God says, begum, I haven't seen them. Oh, but they do exist, says the angel. There's a man down below there called Noah, and he is a good farmer, a good husband, and a better father. I don't believe it, said God. Go and see for yourself, said the angel. And God said, all right, I will. And down he flops, walks along the street where Noah lives. And you know, I don't know whether you folk out there realise it, but you know, God can see not only into your heart, but he can see into your house, with the walls and all still standing. And he realised that the angel had been right. He saw justice and kindliness in Noah's house. So he went up and he raps on the door. And Noah flings the door wide open and says, ah, hello, God, is it yourself? Come on in and I'll make you a cup of tea. No, thank you, says God. That's very kind of you. But I've just come to give you a wee bit of advice. All right, says Noah. Away and give it to me and I'll see if I can help you. Oh, it's not help that I'm looking for, says God. I just want to give you a wee bit of information. All right, says Noah. I'll see what I can do. God says, I want you to build a boat, you and your family. And when you get the boat finally built, I want you to collect every animal that you can clap eyes on in the vicinity. But I want you to remember, I want 2 of each kind, a male elephant and a female elephant, a male cat and a female cat. Now, are you listening to me, Noah? He says to him, what do you mean listening to you? Of course, Al, my ears are pinned back, God. All right, says God. Just don't forget what I've told you. And with that, he left. So, of course, needless to say, with Noah being a good man, the very next morning, him and his sons started building a boat. Now, mind you, in that part of the world, there wasn't an oasis, never mind a river. And what do you think the neighbours said? They talked behind their hands and they said, have you seen what Noah along the street's doing? Him and his sons, they're building a boat. And they kee-heed and they laughed. And they went along to him and they said, I say, Noah, what are you doing up there? And Noah looked at them and he says, have you not got eyes in your head? Can't you see I'm building a boat? And they said, of all the stupid things, building a boat where there's not even a river. And they went off kee-heeing and laughing. And it was bad then and 10 times worse later. Because when Noah and his sons started collecting the animals, The neighbours nearly went berserk. They laughed their heads off, and they said what a foolhardy, crazy man that Noah is. But he didn't mind. Very solidly and very stolidly, they went about their business. And do you know this? That by the time every one of those animals was put on board, what do you think fell from out of the sky? You're right. A big, fat raindrop, and then another, and another, and another. And by the time Noah and the family and all the animals were on deck and well taken care of in the ark, I'm telling you, you couldn't have believed your eyes, because the rain had fallen in such a deluge that the boat started to rise slowly, and then it sailed off on the waters. Now, that journey was to last 40 days and 40 nights. And what happened about the 5th day was that Noah was working. I don't know whether any of you people, own boats, but you know that your hand's never out of your pocket and there's always something going wrong on board. So he was busy about his business, And he began to notice that there was this animal with wee pricked ears and a long tail that kept wagging all the time. He noticed that it was sort of affixed to his right elbow. And he'd say, "Shoo, get on with you." And the animal would just wag its tail as nice as you like. And he began to get really irritated. So after a few days, he says to his sons, "What in the name of goodness do you call this animal? The one with the ears and the tail that keeps wagging." He says, "I can't even have a drop of tea in peace, but it's sitting there on its haunches looking at me, and wagging its tail." He says, "I'm getting thoroughly fed up. Even I had a sandwich the other day. Declare to goodness, the darned animal came up and sat and did like this until I gave it a bit of my sandwich. I can't stand it. I wish it would go away." "What do you call it?" "Oh, we don't know," says the son. "It's a common animal, but we don't know the name." Well, Mrs. Noah just happened to come in at that moment, and Noah said to her, "Any idea what you call this animal? It's a darn nuisance." She says, "That's a nice animal. It's not a darn nuisance. As a matter of fact, says she, it's called a dog. It's got a real name. And it's a friendly animal." "It's no such thing," says he. "It's a damn nuisance." Because sometimes he swore when he got irritated, She says, "Be a bit kindlier to the animal." But he wasn't, because he really and truly, it got on his nerves following them round all the time, But at any rate, as the days went by, now mind you, he wouldn't admit to this himself, but as the days slowly went by, he began to get actually used to the company of this animal. And about the 35th day on board the ark, he suddenly noticed two things. First of all, the boat started to cope. In other words, it was on an uneven keel, if you get what I mean. And then at the same time, he realised that he hadn't seen the animal around. So when he saw his missus that morning, he says, "Hey, wife, have you noticed that the boat's coping a bit?" She says, "I never noticed anything like that." He says, and I'll tell you what else is amiss. He says, "I haven't seen whatever you call that animal, the one that's normally attached to my right elbow. I've missed it for the last couple of days. I haven't seen it." "Oh," says she, "you mean the dog?" "Neither have I." "Oh," says he, "let's go and look for the dog." And that, believe me or believe me not, is the first time that he ever called that poor animal by its real name. Well, I'll say this for them. They went upstairs and downstairs. They went in cabins. They went in the places where all the animals were. And there was neither sight nor sound of the dog. And they were right worried. And Mrs. Noah says, "Where else could we possibly look? Where have we not looked?" He says, "I'll tell you. We haven't gone down to the hold." Now, the hold is the place, on the very keel of the boat where they keep supplies of nails and pickled herrings and all of that sort of palaver, So down they goes with two wee bits of candles and a wee oil lamp, and they started down the stairs. One of the sons came with them. They couldn't see a darn thing. It was pitch black. But as they went towards the prow of the boat, Mrs. Noah shouted, "Dog, come on, pet, where are you?" And away off in the dark and silky blackness, they heard a wee, "Ooh, ooh." "By gum," says Noah, "I'm sure that's the sound of the dog." And off they went, right into the very bow of the boat. And there's the poor dog, standing chest deep in bilge water, and with its nose affixed in to a hole in the side of the boat. And Noah swept that poor wee animal up, cradling it in his arms, and he says to his son, "Quick, quick, fix up the leak there." And he says, the poor thing, it has had its nose in that hole for Lord knows how many days. And they took the wee dog up on board, and they got the rest of their sons to come down, and they made a sort of bucket brigade to get out all the bilge water, and the ark once again righted itself and sailed on the waters. Do you know this? That Mr. and Mrs. Noah, they nursed that dog back to health in about 2 days. And very, very slowly the dog started to be itself again. And they were that glad. Suddenly, there was the most frightful thunder in the air. And Mrs. Noah looked up and says, "Oh, please, God, don't send us any more rain. Please don't." And God says, "I'm not sending rain. I'm just wanting to talk to you in a very definite manner." He says, "I want you to look at this animal. If it hadn't been for this animal actually stopping the leak down in the keel of your boat, not only you but all humanity would have been finished with." He says, "Take a good look at this animal, the dog." He says, "It stuck its nose out into the cold, salty sea. And therefore, from now on, every dog will have a cold, wet nose, so that every humankind, every time they touch a dog's nose, will remember the service that it did for mankind. And also remember that from this day onward, the dog will also be man's best friend." And do you know, it has been from that day to this.